all of a sudden you just see her with like this knife and she's like cutting stuff, and then you can hear people screaming, and then like that's how she's like forming these hands for the candle, right?
That's cool.
And it's like she's literally cutting off hands, and then yes. All right, episode 4. Let me get some noise going here. Let's see. I gotta be quicker with this. But I just noticed his name. We need an intro for sure. There we go. Cheering and clapping. All right, we're good. Boom.
Here we go.
And I was laughing at Sean's name, Robbie Bobby. That is hilarious. It always has. It's like Bobby McFlair, Robbie Bobby. What was your last one? Do you remember?
I've done Ricky Bobby, Reese Bobby, and
Reese
Bobby
Bobby.
McFerrin.
Oh yeah, Mount Bobby McFerrin. That's right.
Yeah. Don't worry, be happy.
It's funny, dude. Like if this actually like does stuff, people are gonna actually start calling you Bobby, Robbie Bobby. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot that I'm like changing my name every time. It's pretty hilarious.
I mean, everyone knows us as the Sean, so I figure,
Yeah, for sure.
have some fun with it.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about going with that as the YouTube name, the Sean's, but
I like Sauce Pod.
The Sauce Pod, yeah, Sauce Pod, right? It's cool, so it works, right? I'm pretty pumped about it. But cool, man. It's
We're
Friday.
back.
We're back, and yeah, we got a different shirt on.
You change shirts. It's good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. And I showered.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, every once in a while I'll shower. However, I don't wash my hair every single time.
I hear you probably shouldn't. I mean,
that's
there's
good.
like those good oils and stuff.
Right? So, and it's nice because like, I'll get in there and just like, I'm like, fuck, I gotta wash my hair. Okay, and I like wash my hair, but sometimes I'm like, oh, cool, like I already washed it, like I'm good. I'm just because I'm in and out. You know what I mean? I'll get in the shower, do bathe, whatever, clean myself, and then I'm out. You know what I mean? But every once in a while, I'll get in there and I'm just like, I'm like kind of chilly. I've been inside all day, or maybe be kind of cold outside, and I'll get under that warm water, and I'm just like, oh, man.
It's such a luxury for sure. I'm just like,
oh my
if
God,
you go, like the warm water and just all of that. It's
dude. You're spot on. When I went to Thailand, like they don't like most of like the locals don't have air conditioner. You know what I mean? Which at the same time, the cold water showers isn't quite as bad. You know what I mean? So I would hate to be in like a really rough area in like Russia or like some really cold area, but then the water's cold too. Like that would be so miserable. But I think at that point, if that's just like what you were born with, like, hey, it's like, ew, a hot shower? That sounds weird. That sounds gross. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's funny. Like, I can't even imagine being cold and taking a cold shower. They have that Wim Hof guy.
I was about to say,
right? Jumping in these cold lakes and shit.
He's amazing though. His personality is like supreme. Yeah, he just has like the best attitude. But I mean, I guess you should if you're like taking cold water plunges all the time. Like nothing can bother you. He literally like injected himself with a virus and then was like, I will breathe this virus away. And he did.
Oh my God.
Like just take deep breaths and like, you can control your body's like state internally. And
wow.
He's like, I will not get sick from being injected with this virus. So
dang.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Pretty wild, right? Yeah. Yeah. He like, developed his like cold water plunge and all of that and then took it to scientific studies to be like, this stuff will actually help your body, know, and just like all of his methods, he's kind of like taking them to the lab and kind of put science to it, which is really cool.
Dang, that's awesome. And I heard he's like 125 years old or something.
somewhere in
I mean,
that.
like that would just be even cooler if he was like extra old. You know what I mean? He's just chilling, taking these cold baths, and it's like, well, do they even work? Like I could hear somebody being like, do they even work? Like, yeah, I mean, he's like 115. It's like, oh shit, it's like, well,
Yeah.
okay, maybe they do work, but no, I don't think he's quite that old.
Freaking Charlie Munger's 97.
Yeah,
I'm blown away by,
dude,
you
dude,
know,
same. Charlie Munger, I didn't realize he was 97, and I know Buffett, he's like right next to him. Is he slightly younger?
yeah, I think maybe by a couple of years, but he's
Right.
definitely in his 90s.
It's
So
crazy, man. And like, I see him drinking Coca-Colas and eating McDonald's all the time, man. It's like,
I don't know how often he's really doing that, but
right?
yeah,
Maybe that was just in the because every time I say every time, but it seems like a lot of times I'll watch I don't really normally watch them, but I should. And it would be cool to go to the Berkshire
sure.
Hathaway
Yeah,
shareholder thing. Would be kind of
yeah.
cool. But maybe it's sponsored. Well, because I know he like owns them. Like he's a majority shareholder. I think maybe I'm not too sure. But anyways, he has like Coca-Cola sitting on the table, so it's like maybe that makes
Mhm.
more sense because he kind of owns the company. But maybe it's just water in the can. Maybe because I know like Formula One has the Red Bull, and those guys aren't drinking Red Bull all day long. There's no way.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So they have like Red Bull water bottles, and so you just put water in it. So, but you know, speaking of water, it's we have Liquid Death, doing some crazy stuff, like awesome crazy stuff.
Yeah, it would be cool to be part of their marketing team. And Martha Stewart, like she's so funny now. Like I
Yeah.
don't really watch her public personality, but like I just feel like she's like, you know, baked all the time. Like this picture I'm looking at with her in the Liquid Death apron with like the Liquid Death candle, and she's just, got the chink eye going on, and like
Yeah.
it's amazing. So, but yeah, this collaboration that they're doing where it's like a black candle. It's like a black hand holding a black
Mhm.
Liquid Death candle.
Did you
Super
did you
cool. I
see the
mean,
commercial?
there the YouTube video is like right here with it. I haven't watched it yet, but definitely need to check it
Okay,
out.
okay. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I mean, you can
And
spoiler alert it for me. I don't care. I'm not one of
sure.
those
So
people that, yeah.
so it's her like explaining like I think she's like explaining that she partnered with Liquid Death, and then like all of a sudden you just see her with like this knife and she's like cutting stuff, and then you can hear people screaming, and then like
Mm,
that's how she's like forming these hands for the
mm,
candle,
that's
right? And
cool.
it's like she's literally cutting off hands, and then there's these guys that are blindfolded and they're holding a liquid death can. So I mean, it's crazy some of the stuff that they go through. Like I think I've told you before, but they have Tony Hawk's. They did like a campaign with Tony Hawk's blood, and they literally drew his blood and put it into red paint, mixed it in there, and then painted some skateboards and sold some of the skateboards.
It's awesome.
Like some people think that's like kind of weird or crazy. I think that's genius.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, especially if you're a company that's just selling water, you really got to lean into like the branding. And I don't think
Right?
anyone, especially any water company, is even close to doing what they're doing.
I love the disrupting ability, like what they're doing. They are disruptors of the water company. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
you just got to find your angle when it comes to like building a brand. You know what I mean? Like, what is it that you're going to differentiate yourself from? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it is water in a can. And then honestly, when I first, not necessarily Liquid Death, but I remember when this was years ago when I first had like water in a can. I thought it was the strangest thing. It kind of tasted like the can itself, you know what I mean? And then me like, drinking some beers, you know what I mean? Like I prefer the bottle, the glass, because I feel like
Sure.
it tastes better. But they just crush it on the water in a can, and then the fact that it looks like a beer, you know what I mean, is
Yeah.
just super hilarious. All their marketing is about little kids just like going crazy, partying. And my favorite is like they lean into their negative, the negativity that they get, and they
Hmm.
actually will put ads on those. Like there'll be like someone like talking shit, like I cannot believe that someone would buy this, and like they'll literally put money behind that and like put it out there,
Yes.
as an
I'm a
ad.
big fan of that. Like, in fact, like Jesse was over last night, right? We were taking the
Okay.
pictures for his ads for the card game, I Am Champion. And like, he was telling me that he and Josh were doing the same thing. They got like a ton of like, just feedback on Twitter from some of these like card game players. And they're like, oh, your game's too simple. It's like, there's a couple of like basic words that they said, like it's too easy, it's too simple, whatever. And so like Josh literally immediately like went and made some like really funny ads, or he just like really doubled down on that. And
Dude,
I love that.
dude, that's so perfect. Yeah, like just like lean into it. You know what I mean? Like don't be like butthurt. Just lean into it.
Especially because for them it was like we designed it to be simple and easy, like so kids could play it, so
Yeah,
families could play it, adults with their kids, everybody. So like you're basically telling us what you're thank you for saying that, because we
yeah.
accomplished our goal here. So if
That's
you
what we
don't
wanted.
like it, then it's not for you, but thank
Right.
you for giving us fuel to the fire. We're just kind of making an ad off of your comments here.
Exactly. Exactly. It's kind of like the liquid death. It's just water. It's like, well, it's just a card game. Like, get over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
At the end of the
exactly.
day.
Yeah.
But good stuff. Yeah, and I think I think at the when this will be a little later when this comes out, but 700 million was what they were. What do you call it?
Value that.
Yes, yes, yes. So
Yeah.
700 million, not a bad gig.
Yeah.
Some water, and then the box. I don't know if you are familiar with this, but the box that the cans come in, you can actually put the box on. It's like a mask, and it has like a hole
Oh,
in
that's
the
cool.
yeah. So like you buy the box, you put when it's empty, you put the box on your head, and it has like a scary mask, and then there's like a hole in there you can see out of it. So
Is that like a
um,
Halloween thing, or has it been like that?
it's been like that. Yeah, it's been like
Oh,
that.
wow. That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
didn't. Yeah, I know, right? I didn't realize it until I had saw somebody wearing it, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Because like when I was looking at the box, I was like, "Why is it like that?" And like, there's just one hole cut out, and you can see the can when there's cans in there, right? So I was like, "Why is it?" I don't know. The art's cool, like, but when it was empty, it kind of makes sense. Like you're just gonna, put it on your head, but
They're
it'd be
really
kind
like
of,
having fun with it, and like
dude,
across all
exactly,
aspects of it.
exactly. And I feel like beer brands could do that too, because I've definitely been inebriated enough to where I would put a beer box on my head.
Yeah. I'm interested to see if what route they go, whether they, stay private or they
Ooh,
want to get acquired by a larger brand. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't. Yeah, that's really interesting. What's really cool is that they are branching out in so many avenues. Like the candle, like they got a candle. They have all kinds of cool merch. They have a lunchbox, and they even show like their lunchbox holding all the cans. You know what I mean? So
Nice.
it's really cool, man. It's a cool, fun brand. One of the
Yeah.
better ones that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. It really like highlights how fun and a brand can be when you really do it right.
Yeah,
When you really differentiate yourself, like you said, you make it something that no one else is doing, and it kind of makes it a really cool experience for
yeah.
everybody.
It's that, and another thing is like I think more brands need to be more like disruptive and play on the dark humor. You know what I mean? I think that's like really cool. I know a coffee brand, was it Death Wish Coffee? They play Death Wish, and it's the strongest coffee in the world. You know what I mean? That's kind of their angle. Because at the
Hmm.
end of the day, it's just coffee. There's so much coffee out there nowadays, and so what is your angle? You know what I mean? Like, who are you targeting towards? You know what I mean? So you really got to understand who your target market is, and like, you know, why are you what is it that you're trying to do? You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
that's really what it boils down to. Because like all the products are the same. Coffee's coffee, water is water. You know what I mean? But how do you switch it up? So really cool
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, there's a big education component behind it too. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
there's a ton of different kinds of coffee beans out there, and of course, you got the whole sustainability thing, and
Hmm.
same with water. Like, yeah, water is water, but like, there's. I remember watching that podcast where um, the owner, or it was the CMO of Liquid Death, I forget which one it was, but he was basically talking about how like there was no process for putting water into an aluminum can. Like they
Yeah,
basically invented that process from the ground
that's
up, which is
wild.
pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah, that is
And that's a
crazy.
sustainability thing in and of itself because, you don't really think about it, but like, a lot of water is in plastic bottles and there's not really any water that's in an aluminum can. And
Hmm.
one of the things he said on that podcast was like, well, aluminum is like one of the few materials that can be like really made out of post recyclable material. And then it can also still be recycled after that. So it really is sustainable versus
That
just
is so
water in a
cool.
plastic bottle. So
Yep.
yeah, I thought that was really cool.
And that's really cool. That's a real cool angle. Um, However, their main one is like this cool death branding, really. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's in a can, so it's like death. I think one of their campaigns is like the death of plastic, so they can play on that, which is really cool.
Hmm.
Um, but then, like, I also have like a buddy out in California. He's starting a water company, but he's like at a whole nother angle. He's going all in on all the the water science, right? He's going
Sure.
all in
Yeah.
on the science of water, and then he's being a disruptor in a way by calling out all of the other water companies, and so he's like really getting super in depth nerdy and hiring and talking to some really like high end like water engineers or whatever you want to call them, but you
Yeah.
know, he's like really getting into that. That's his angle. And then
And
not
so
to mention,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
So you really have to lean into the education component on for that end, and then you also have to simplify it for the people that just want to drink
Exactly.
water and don't really care. You know.
Exactly. Exactly. So then you have, but he also has a special bottle. So his bottle, he was telling me that the bottle will actually eventually turn into this like mush. He actually called it hummus. He was like, it turns into a hummus. And I was like, whoa,
Hmm.
that's like interesting that you call it that. But then so the bottle actually is like probably the best thing that you can get within like not necessarily recycling, but it like once it makes it to the landfill, it essentially turns into energy is what he was kind of saying.
It
So
just like decomposes and turns into like
yeah,
compost if you wanted it to. Yeah.
exactly. And so which is super cool. And so I think like honestly, he's going after like his own water brand, and that's the bottle itself is part of the angle, right? Because it's a unique bottle. It looks like it's made out of like almost cardboard. Um,
Yeah.
but he could go after just water bottles like of themselves. Like he could kind of start like a wholesale business. You know what I mean, and just go with that, which I think is super crazy. Kind of like the egg cartons. There's like, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's like one or two companies that really specialize in only egg cartons, and they just like
Hmm.
they just own the game of egg cartons,
Right.
which is crazy. It's like you're a multi-millionaire, maybe billionaire at this point. You know what I mean? And your business is egg cartons. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I love that because that's like when there's a gold rush for the gold mine, just sell shovels, don't go mine the gold kind of thing. And
I
it's just
always
like,
love that. Yeah,
I feel like this episode is about sustainability and that play. And like,
yeah,
because I've seen, like, I'm really big into mushrooms of all
sweet.
kinds, and
Hmm.
people think about, oh, you're either like psychedelic or there's like the food kind that you're eating. But there's a whole
Hmm.
subcomponent of mushrooms that I've seen as a really good sustainability play where so basically, like as a mushroom is growing, think of like tree roots under the ground. It's called mycelium. And like as before the mushroom pops out, like flowers essentially, it's growing these roots which are like white. And so what I've seen people do is what's called like a substrate. So just imagine like a block of like wood, I guess, and then
Okay.
like the mushroom myceliates it and turns it white. And then people like these companies will like freeze that and use that as like how like insulation for your home versus like spray-in insulation that's like
shit.
toxic and all this.
Shit.
So it's like there's a big sustainability component with
Dang.
that as well. I mean, there's a longer process to like have mushrooms like myceliate something and then freeze it and all that. But I mean, so is there with producing plastics in like a factory down by the Gulf. And there's definitely not going to be this like, oh, this factory just blew up and leaked a bunch of chemicals into the Gulf. That's not going to happen with like myceliating mushrooms. I mean, that's if anything, if those things get out, it's good. Like in Oregon, there's like the largest amount of like one network of mushrooms, and like they basically say like this is super woo woo, but it's true that like the underground myceliated network of mushrooms helps the trees and all the different plants deliver nutrients to each other and basically kind of like almost talk to each other. And so it's like it's kind of like an interconnected network underground of the root structure, and the mushrooms help that happen. So it's like super freaking cool.
Dang. How long have you been like learning and educating and just knowing about mushrooms?
I don't know. I think it's probably like 2012 or so. Like when I moved to Austin, like 2010, I started going to school like for music, and then like I don't know, like somehow I like went tangent while I was learning like music theory and stuff to like mushrooms. I came across some of the big people like Paul Stamets. He's like one of the biggest names in the mushroom world, especially in the US, and just a super cool guy. And I went down like a huge rabbit hole of like, he's got a few books out, and one of them teaches you how to grow them and all these things. And I mean, these books are like massive. They're super in-depth, thick, and worth every penny of it. And I just kept learning about it. It's so fascinating. But when it comes to like foraging and stuff, which are like, a lot of mushroom enthusiasts, like, up near the redwoods and like Oregon and stuff, like, they go out in the woods and they like pick these mushrooms, and, like most of them are poisonous. Like 98% of mushrooms are poisonous, but there's like this really small percentage of like oyster mushrooms and all these other ones that you can eat, and they can be gourmet in a restaurant. But like so the foragers will like go out and try to find these ones that you can eat, which they are there and stuff. But like I just feel like the risk factor, unless you know what you're doing, there's a large like learning curve there, and the risk is like way worse than the reward is. So
that's insane. Yeah.
I've never gotten into the foraging aspect of it. I've just been like, well, if I want to grow my own oyster mushrooms, like I know how to do that. I had thought about starting a business in like oyster mushroom production, because you can sell it to like, at farmers markets and to like high-end restaurants and stuff, but it's super like labor intensive and all these things. So, and not to mention all the like regulations and stuff to like get it going. But
so like, you say poisonous. Now, it like the psychedelic mushrooms, is that considered poisonous?
Yeah, they are poisonous, and that's essentially what you're doing to your body, is you're poisoning it at at whatever level you want to do that, and that's what your body is doing as you like trip, is you're fighting off toxins in your body that just cause you to like hallucinate. So
but then there are some that are like poisonous to where they could kill you.
Yeah, and I mean, even psychedelics, technically, if you ate enough of them and your body couldn't fight off the poison, then you would die. I mean, that's essentially like, I mean, anything, if there's too much of it and your body can't deal with it, then your body shuts down. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Dang, that's crazy. It reminds me of like a bunch of things, really. I had a bunch of stuff that popped in my head. It's like, if, being able to grow your own stuff, like having land. I always would love to have like some land and like have some chickens and be able to kind of live off the land per se, but then have like grow the mushrooms, grow like vegetables or, I think that's really cool. But also like collecting rainwater, I think would be really cool too.
Definitely. Yeah. I would like to think that like we move more towards that too. Like even like the everyday home
Yeah.
can it becomes more accessible and just yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily that hard to do. It's just more of like the knowledge and around it, and you can easily go buy the tank to do it. Your gutters are already pouring the water into the ground. You can just reroute one of those to a tank and then reroute that tank to your bed, to your flower bed or whatever. So,
Right,
yeah.
right. So you wouldn't necessarily use it would be more of potable water where you might be able to like cook with it. Maybe not just straight drink it. It just kind of depends the process, right? Like the cleaning process. But because I know you can drink straight rainwater, you know what I mean? I don't think it's, you know,
Yeah, and I mean, like when you get water out of your sink, you can drink that too, and we used to. Now we
right.
just throw it through a Brita filter. I mean, and that's what you could do with the rainwater, or
Yeah, makes sense.
there's like the reverse osmosis, which I think is like arguably one of the better processes to do. That one's a
Right.
little bit, yeah, but it's all knowledge, right? If you just know how to do it, then every
Sure.
person could you either buy a reverse osmosis system or whatever. But yeah, you
Cool.
could totally like drink that water or whatever you wanted to do with it.
That's cool. There's that one company. So you buy your land, and there's a company. I think it's called like I know Elon was talking about it too. It's like build a house or box
Boxable?
boxable. I think it is. Yeah. So like literally like you buy a house. I think like the normal one, like the regular one, is like $50,000, and it's like this random. It's like this little house. They will drop it off at your house on your place, your lot, and it like they can assemble it within an hour. It's like
Yeah.
the coolest thing ever. You know what I mean? And like you can like box it back up and move it around. But I'm hearing like a handful of people actually like talking about it. I know
Yeah.
um, Elon was talking about it, and I know Kanye was talking about it. So that would be cool.
Yeah.
Like,
It is cool. Like I think it's kind of like a new movement to like because it reduces the cost of housing,
hmm
like you said, $50,000. I've even seen one in Tennessee. I think this one's even not better. There's no better or worse, but like Boxable is basically just assembly line of the process, like a
yeah,
Ford Motor Company. And so,
exactly.
which is great because it makes it cheaper and more accessible to more people. I've seen one, which is super cool, kind of like the mom and pop small business. This dude in Tennessee, he just straight up builds it on the trailer, and it's has no appliances, just like the Boxable. There's no appliances in it. It's just built and ready to go. And
Mm.
so Boxable, yeah, they ship it to you. It's flat packed, and then you have to get cranes to kind of pull everything up, and then
Boom.
you're good.
And then
This
you're
one is
good.
and then you're good. This one, you don't need to get cranes to pull everything up. It's already built on the trailer. You pull up your truck to it, you hook to the trailer, and you go. And they're like 20 grand.
Nice.
And so it's like even more cost effective than a Boxable. It's ready to
Dang.
go. And he's got an assembly line built too. So he's pumping out like
What?
2 to 3 a day.
Oh,
So
okay. What's that one
yeah,
called? Do you remember what that one's called?
I can send it to you. The dude
Cool.
makes like YouTube videos to promote it and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'd
But
like to even add stuff to the like notes, the show notes, description, for
for
the
sure.
channel too. So like if
Yeah.
anybody wants to check it out, yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I think having like at least 10 acres would be cool, and then having one of those like type of homes, would be cool, and then you could just have a handful of them and then put them on Airbnb. you know,
Yeah, for sure. I
that'd be
like
cool.
more of those like experiences that are being set up.
hmm Cool, man. Um, yeah, we're getting close to the time. Did you have anything, any other cool topics you wanted to talk about, or any other weird stuff you found on the internet?
No. I mean, I'm gonna check out this Danny Trejo article about him setting up a bunch of Mexican restaurants, and it sounds like he's really crushing it. I love seeing people that are, just doing a lot of really cool things. Then like obviously, I mean, I think Danny Trejo's like super
Yeah.
awesome with all the, Tarantino films and stuff that he's in, but
hmm
like apparently he's got like a music label. He's got some restaurants that he's setting up. He's
Wow.
like just doing all these other things. Like I think that's in like a really cool way too. Not just like
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make money. He's more about like the quit eating
Community.
McDonald's and shitty food, kind of like let's
Cool.
help everyone have access to healthier food.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to look into that too. I know you sent me that one article. I didn't have enough time to read it, but the food on it, the quesadillas, it looked, yeah, was it quesadillas? Yeah, they looked so good.
Right.
So, yeah, they look so good and fresh. But that's cool, man. Yeah, this one was a good one. We'll just keep on keeping on, and we'll soon have an intro and outro. But until then, we can just go with it. Yep. I know it was a good one, and we're out of here. Appreciate everybody. Subscribe or like. How does it go? Like, subscribe,
comment, subscribe. I don't know.
Comment. Yeah, we'll get better at it. Cool. We're out of here.
Check out my other video up here.
Yeah, right. All right. Cool deal. We're out.
We're out.